It seems as if Martin Zubimendi is moving towards a Liverpool move rather than away, although a lot of this is just speculation and conjecture. At this point, there are a lot of trusted journalists who are saying that Zubimendi would quite like this move, and it's leading to a lot of people getting very angry, a lot of people saying, oh, this is a terrible move, a lot of people saying, oh, this is an amazing move, a lot of people saying, I don't think Liverpool know what they're doing. Lots of stupid, different, very clearly guesswork answers to what Zubimendi will be for Liverpool. And I hope that my insight video, or my attempt at an insight video yesterday, went some way in showing you what it is that Liverpool will be wanting. Because I think a lot of people often just go, well, Michael Edwards and their team, Richard Hughes will just want stats. They'll be looking down these lines and going, you've missed this. And there are clearly some flaws in the game of Martin Zubimendi, but there are also a lot of strengths within that game that Spain, Real Sociedad, Arsenal, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, lots of other sides looked at and went, we'd actually quite like that in our midfield. So the fact that Liverpool are even anywhere near a transfer and possibly looking at spending £51 million on a player is an indication that this is a key transfer to this side. Liverpool don't just spend money willy-nilly. And as sad as it might be to therefore see someone drop out of this midfield, possibly Endo, though maybe we keep Endo as a different profile of player. Maybe we don't actually see anyone drop out because Thiago left last summer. Maybe we see a couple of loans. Maybe Morton goes out on loan. Maybe even Stefan Bajcetic goes out on loan. It does mean that Liverpool are moving towards a different profile of defensive six in that midfield. But what it also shows is, if Liverpool are to hit someone like him, there is still pull to this team without Jurgen Klopp in it, without Jurgen Klopp around the club. And I think a lot of people were sort of worried about that, or a lot of people were worried that Liverpool wouldn't make any signings this summer and it would just be a flat summer because for some weird reason, having a good squad and building on that squad isn't good. Anyway, the point being, if Liverpool were to pull off this signing ahead of an Arsenal, Barcelona, or all these different teams, and I'm not saying that they're therefore better than those sides, I'm just saying I think it would show the difference in the pitches that someone like Michael Edwards is putting out there and someone like Richard Hughes is putting together. We know that the culture that Edwards created in terms of pulling players towards the club was a very strong idea. The pitch was very compelling from back in the day that pulled some of the biggest players and some of the best players in the world towards Anfield. What it also means is that the next phase of Liverpool is now coming in. He's a completely different profile to a Fabinho. He's a completely different profile to an Endo. He's very different, although he's not so different to Thiago, he's very different to Henderson or possibly even Gini. Gini Wijnaldum might actually be an interesting comparison. Though, really what you're just saying is he facilitates other good midfielders. It doesn't mean you watch him and go, he looks like Gini Wijnaldum. And the comparisons for this guy always seem to not be apt. Lots of people saying Rodri, lots of people saying, there's a Busquets in there, lots of people saying Thiago, lots of people saying Xabi Alonso. And there's always a bit where you go, well, he's not quite like that, but there are lots of really complimentary moments and words around him. But if you've seen, and you probably will have seen that clip on social media of him during the Euros, playing for Spain in the final, doing what some people call a Rodri impression, but doing what other people say was a footballing job, there are clearly different sides to his game. His break-up play is great. His reading of the game is great. Getting into the midfield, which is clearly, I think, a role that Liverpool, getting into the opposition midfield, which is clearly a role that Liverpool lacked, because you saw, and I can very easily prove this, Manchester United's shot map during the game against us was pretty much all from the same positions. We were losing the ball a lot in the transition between defence and midfield. We get the feeling that he'll probably hook that up a little bit easier. There'll be a reason why we weren't able to do that. It might be the defenders as well as the midfield, but you get my point here. And we were also conceding a lot of shots in those areas because our defensive midfield wasn't necessarily set up in a way that we would want in order to defend those areas. He seems to be able to defend those areas really well. Seems to profile as the kind of guy who can drift around, which I think would suit Trent really well, would also suit someone like Robbo really well, because he is just drifting between those two areas. They have a little bit more license to roam forward. And his idea that he can play as a single pivot or a one defensive DM whilst allowing McAllister to wander down the field, or whoever it is, Curtis Jones, Ryan Gravenberch, all these guys, is a really alluring idea, alongside this double pivot idea of this duo of him and McAllister. Both of them pretty interesting in terms of aerial duels, very good at winning the ball back in terms of just getting it away from people's feet, hacking it away while standing, not having to go into a slide tackle, not having to commit to an overly dramatic foul. Those kind of things fascinate me. And then on top of that, it's also about the combinations that we'll have. I mean, people were posting photos last night of Szoboszlai, then McAllister, then Zubimendi as that formation. And you'd look at it and think, yeah, like there's something that says balance. There's something that says control about this team. And it's that word, I think, that Liverpool are focusing on in the transfer market. Who can help us control games? Who has an unflappable demeanour? Who is able to get their foot on the ball and go, up, we need to do this right now, guys. We need to push the ball in this direction, or I'm going to distribute it there. McAllister's definitely got part of that in his game, but imagine someone else alongside him who not only wins the ball back, but is also really good at moving the ball forward. There are lots of little things here that I think that will add up to the sum of the parts being greater than they were before, which a lot of people took as a Klopp idea, but I actually think has become more of a Liverpool idea. Putting all these pieces together and saying, right, this works as a unit. It doesn't mean that Zubimendi needs to be the best player in the world. It doesn't mean that he needs to be Rodri or Busquets or any of these guys. It means he needs to be the best player for the Arne Slot system. That's different to signing, say, a £100 million midfielder who could just do whatever. Of course, what it also means is that everyone has got a criticism of him. And I made a video, which actually I took down in the end because I don't feel the video was balanced enough, which profiled him both ways. I said, there are plenty of people who could profile him and say, I could leave him. There are plenty of people who would profile him and say, I would take him. And I've been through again, there's another video saying, here's why we'd take him. There are some parts of his game where I think actually that could probably improve. And actually in the Premier League, we will need to look at that. Anfield will get on your back if you do X. One of those things is meaninglessly kick the ball away, and sometimes it does seem as if he has this kind of long ball in him which kind of just aimlessly goes forward, and sometimes it is just clearing his lines. That might just be instructions that coaches have given him, but sometimes it looks a little... Do you remember when Jordan Henderson was just kicking the ball away for England and people were like, why is he doing that? That's stupid. People didn't get that the manager was probably telling him to do that. And I get the feeling the same goes for Zubimendi here, is he will do things which he's been told to do, and people are going to go, that's a terrible part of his game. What I can tell you is quite a frustrating part of his game is, I watched a lot of highlights of him, I watched a lot of evaluations and breakdowns in the last couple of days, and I thought, there are a couple of times where simple passes, or passes which would get a team away, sometimes go a little awry, maybe just around the corner. He seems to have improved that game just a little bit, where it's like the ball comes to him and he can quickly get it out to a winger. That seems to improve. It could also be the relationship he has with some of those wingers and some of the quality of those wingers. Kubo seemed more than able to receive that ball, although that was more of a floated, lofted ball further down the field. And he seemed to also like the ball out to the other wing, so maybe that'll make more of our wingers overall. But there are, he's not Xabi Alonso, is what I would say. But also I think, and I was discussing this with James Alcott last night, the quality that Alonso had was not only the long balls, but also the ability to receive the ball quickly and then get it out relatively quickly as well. And so he's got it, go. And it really puts opposition teams on the back foot, but it also allows Liverpool to get the ball down the field relatively quickly. I'm not saying we don't already have players who can pass the ball really well, carry the ball really well. He's an interesting ball carrier. Sometimes there's times where he feels like he kind of runs himself into a bit of a corner. We've already got a couple of profiles like that, so I'll be interested to see if, again, we can kind of coach that out of him or move him into a more positive way of dribbling. But I think Liverpool need that transitional connection, relationship-based midfielder, and I'm excited to see it. So let me know what you're excited to see about Martin Zubimendi if he does make it in the end to Liverpool. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm going to be doing a transfer review of all of your feedback on what you think of him as a player, what you think this means for Liverpool later, probably Friday morning. And I'm really appreciative to all the people who've subscribed. We've put on a couple of thousand subscribers in the last few days, and I think we're building a community. There's a Discord down there for Liverpool fans and fans in general, if you're not a fan of the club. And I hope to see you guys in there. Much love. But there's Patreon too. Help us keep doing this work. Much love.